Good morning and welcome to NBC6 Voices. I'm Jawan Strader. The battle for control of what was Miami's first beach for people of color rages on after the City of Miami Commission, led by Chairwoman Christine King, the only African American on the panel, seized authority from the Virginia Key Beach trustees. A takeover expected to last a year, with the commission claiming that it is open to revisiting the issue in 1 year. So how did we get to this contentious point where past, present, and future seem to be colliding? I sat down and went one-on-one with two of the key players. All right, joining me now to talk more about this hot-button issue is District 5 Miami City Commission Chairwoman Christine King. Thank you so much for being here with me this morning.
Thank you for having me. You
know, there's a lot to get to, all right? So we're going to take our time. We're going to get through this together. But let me start off by saying you decided to come on a show to give your side on the issue surrounding Virginia Key Beach. Most importantly, the proposal to locate the homeless in the tiny houses on the plot of land near the historic beach. And there's also the recent vote by the City of Miami Commission to take over Virginia Key Beach Park Trust, established back in, of course, 2000, oversee the restoration of the beach. And a recent vote met with a lot of backlash by leaders in the black community. You told me you want to get the facts out there. You want to talk about the misinformation out there as well. And you want to make sure that people understand exactly what is going on here. So let's get right to the point. Let's get right to it here. So first and foremost, how do we get here? How did we get here to this point?
How did we get here? We got here because there was some concern about the progress of the restoration of our historic beach.
Concerns by whom?
Concerns by the commission, mostly concerns by the commission.
Okay.
There was an audit, and at the time that the concerns were raised, the audit was still in draft form.
Okay.
And now the audit is fine. Now the audit is final, and there were 8 findings from that audit.
All right. And do you believe that the people out there understand exactly what's going on?
I do not. I do not believe that everyone has the facts. Which is why I'm here, to give the facts, because not everyone is going to agree with perhaps my position or the position of the City of Miami Commission, but at least if you have the facts, you can make an informed decision on how you feel versus just hearing one side of the story.
Okay, we're going to get to a lot of that because first and foremost, you were the one who proposed a resolution to dissolve the board and remove the black community leaders. Why did you feel that necessary?
That's not true.
It's not true.
That is not true.
What part of it is not true?
I did not present legislation to get rid of the board. The legislation that I put forward was to allow me to have 5 votes to put 5 persons on the trust. That was my legislation. That legislation then morphed into legislation that was brought forth by my colleagues who wanted to have a seat on the trust. So the legislation that eventually came forward, because I didn't have the votes for my legislation to appoint 5, the legislation that came forward was to have each commissioner sit on the trust, have me be chair, and allow me to appoint 2 persons.
But why? Why dissolve the trust? Why dissolve the trust that was established back in 2000? Why dissolve it in the first place when things are slowly getting done? Do you believe they're not getting done? Do you believe that they're not getting done fast enough?
Well, I can tell you that I have spoken with Miami-Dade County and the Director of Cultural Affairs, who has the charge of administering this money, and I was told there has been no progress in the 18 years. This project is nowhere near.
What project are you talking about?
I'm talking about the restoration of our historic beach with the addition of the museum, the project that our voters voted for in 2014, 18 years ago.
With the museum. So the museum being one of the most important parts, the Black Museum, one of the most important parts of this project, correct?
That is correct.
So when I look at this timeline, it looks like a lot is getting accomplished. I mean, I'm looking at, different things. Army Corps of Engineers back in 2005 coming in, $5 million shoreline stabilization project. 2006, State of Florida historic marker. It goes on. April, May of 2006, things getting done. Then I move on down, and I'm still seeing things every year getting done. A new playground for children. Army Corps of Engineers, a wood wedding pavilion in order to get people to come there.
What I'm saying is, there's nothing being done to access the money that the voters voted for to improve Virginia Key Beach, to put that museum there.
Okay, let's go to some sound. You know Guy Fortune, of course.
I do know Guy.
I interviewed Guy. This is probably a couple months ago on this. So let's go to what Guy had to say.
Well, I mean, we just celebrated our 77th year of the creation of this park, what was the colored-only beach for South Florida. So this is where all communities of color came together during segregation. So we're talking about a heart and soul location for recreation, for calm and spiritual opening and unwinding. There were many churches that came to this space, baptisms that took place here. So it's really a spiritual spot for South Floridians of color. We've been fighting very hard for the last 20 years to bring it back, reopened the park in 2008. It's a park for everyone today. And I mean, we have over 100,000 visitors per year.
All right, so 100,000 visitors per year. What do you think about what he just said?
I think it's fantastic. I think it's fantastic. I don't think that first of all, everybody involved in this loves this beach. This is a historic treasure for Black Miami. And what he is saying is true.
I'm trying to set up the timeline of why some people, especially in the Black community, became concerned because of this timeline. So it started with that audit. But then after the audit, next, the proposal to build the tiny houses for the homeless on the plot of land that we discussed on Virginia Key Beach came about and received an approval vote. This happened last July before it was tabled amid the controversy. So then the question is that why, Chairwoman, why did she push for that? Why did she favor that?
The Tiny Homes Initiative?
Yes.
Why did I favor it to go
on Virginia, right.
On
yes.
Virginia Key?
Yes.
Well, staff presented us with sites for the Tiny Homes Initiatives. One of the sites was in my district on 71st Street and 7th Avenue underneath the expressway. And I thought that was an inhumane place to put our homeless population. Taking a look at the other sites that were offered, Virginia Key was one of them. Not the 82.5 acres that comprise the historic Black Beach. Another part of Virginia Key. And let's be clear, Virginia Key is not just the historic beach. Virginia Key is Rusty Pelican. Virginia Key is the marina. Virginia Key is a long stretch of land. And where it was proposed, I thought, okay, this is a better option than any of the options that was provided by staff. That is why I voted for it.
My last question before we wrap, because they're telling me I have to wrap here. My last thing here. What's the bottom line you want folks, especially in the Black community in your district, to know about everything that has gone on with this process?
Well, what I want everyone to know is that I am not trying to impede this process. I'm trying to advance this process. I know that people are upset, and I ask you, it's been 18 years and we have not been able to realize the museum or any other features that should be at Virginia Key Beach. Should we wait another 18 years or should we move forward? It's historic, the relationship that I have with my county colleague who has already committed to working with me. So has Francis Suarez, our mayor, committed to working with Daniela Levine Cava. So this is a time to move forward. And I would encourage everyone to work with us because there was no intent to just take away the trust. We're not taking away the trust. We are trying to move this project forward because it's not about me. It's not about any one person. It is about the community and restoring this historic treasure for our community.
Chairwoman, thank you. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for giving us your side of this big issue that so many people are concerned about. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
And when Voices continues, so does our conversation about control of Virginia Key Beach Trust. I sit down with now former trust chairman Patrick Range to get his take on the takeover.